चैनल गाइस, माय नेम इज अनिल सिंह चौहान और आज हम जा रहे हैं चॉप स्क्वायर। चलिए आपको दिखाते हैं सऊदी अरब में चॉप स्क्वायर, जो बहुत ही फेमस जगह है। मौसम ठंडी है उधर, हमेशा ही ठंडी है उधर।
Continue for 1.5 kilometers.
सोची सुन जल्दी, ये जगह उस्ताद। हाँ, ये ओल्ड कल्चर सऊदी अरब का, पहले कैसा सऊदी अरब था उसकी पूरी डिटेल।
As Riyadh as a capital and with clear borders with neighboring Arab countries in the north and the south, long coastal areas in the east and the Red Sea and the north and the west. So now we will see the details of the attack of Al-Masmak, the Battle of Al-Masmak, and the stages of the unification starting from this side of it. You know, twists and turns. Again, this is Kuwait, and this is Riyadh, and this is the Arab Gulf, and this is, you know, the route that was taken. There was a lot of twists and turns. It was a full year foray all the way to Riyadh, and they had to fight some battles here and there till they managed to reach Riyadh and capture Riyadh in 1902. After the unifications and coins, chains and coins. And why do you think that it has chains and coins? What is the reason behind this, do you think? Oh, because it's dark, they cannot light any torches because they will be noticed by the enemy. So they use unification, different stages starting, as we know, it started in the middle, in the heart, the center of the Arabian Peninsula, but there were stages like after the central part, they took the eastern part in 1913, and then north, they moved north in 1921, then south in 1930. Hijaz. So King Abdulaziz started from the center, Riyadh, and then he moved to the east, 1930, then Hijaz in 1925, not north, Hayl, the northern part, and then finally south. And by 1932, September 1932, he completed the unification. So the 23rd of September is always our national day. We celebrate our national day because of that. So please, and cousins of King Abdulaziz. Some more information and pictures about the pioneers. This is Muhammad bin Abdurrahman. This is King Abdulaziz's brother. And these are the two Jalawi brothers. The one that threw the spear at Ibn Ajlan, Fahd ibn Jalawi, and Abdullah bin Jalawi, who killed Ibn Ajlan during the battle. And then you can see different garments, different dresses that were used at those times and still used till today. It's the same dress that we use. Like, for example, here, if you look at this exhibit, this was a typical garment or dress of the soldiers. So soldiers used to dress this way. Okay, if you go from the top to the bottom, to the top you see a turban. Okay, not the black one that I'm having. By the way, this is called regal, and this is in English you can translate it as a harness. It was used to keep the whole headgear on top intact, and at the same time it is also used to tie camels. Okay, so when they part the camel, they would tie their legs so that the camel wouldn't, run and they would chase the camel across the desert. No, they tie it and they put the camel to sit down. Okay, and then you see the full armor, the bullet belt and the rifle and all the things that a soldier needs. The other garment on the other side, this is different. This is something unique. This is called a dagla. This overcoat is called a dagla. Now, dagla is used in ceremonies, in occasions. So, for example, in the Eid festivals, if you go, for example, sometimes during the National Day, especially when people are performing the Saudi traditional dance, they would wear this dagla. It's decorated for that particular reason. The three flags of the three states, the first and the second and the third. So the first state flag looks like this. It has the green color. The green represents prosperity and development for the nation. And the writing, the two statements of faith, the declaration of faith in the Islamic religion. The first statement says, La ilaha illallah, which is, there is no God worthy of worship but Allah. And Muhammad Rasulullah, Muhammad is the final messenger of Allah. The second state flag has changed a little bit. So the sword was added during the second state flag, and also the writing changed. The artistic design of the writing changed a little bit. And then the third and modern official flag of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia looks like this. Same writing, the same sword, but maybe just a little different in the calligraphy of the writing. And at that time it wasn't called Riyadh, it was called Hijr al-Yamama. Hijr al-Yamama was the first ancient name of Riyadh. Then through time it changed to Riyadh. The name Hijr a little bit disappeared. We still have some parts of Central Arabia called Yamama, but the prominent name of the region, this region and the city, is Riyadh. Riyadh means gardens. Riyadh is the Arabic name for gardens because historically it was an oasis. There was lakes and there was some rivers in the old days, but it dried out. And because of the palm trees and because of the orchards and because of the farms that were also surrounding Riyadh, so it was called the gardens. This is an old map of Riyadh from 1866. As you can see, there was a wall surrounding Riyadh to protect the city. And the gates, there were around 9 gates surrounding Riyadh. Each gate has a unique name, and it used to close during the night. Maybe before midnight, they closed all the gates, not allowing anyone to come in or out, and they will open at dawn to receive visitors and merchants and everyone. The wall was demolished by 1950. In the beginning of the 1950s, they knocked the whole door down because it prevented the expansion of the city. Because already, starting from 1930, already Riyadh started expanding beyond the wall. So they had to, knock down the wall by beginning of the 1950s. However, some of the gates still remain. They kept some of the gates of Riyadh. One of them, when we exit al-Masmak, when we go to the market, we will pass by one of the last gates that are still standing. So we are here. We are at al-Masmak. So al-Masmak and the government palace and the Grand Mosque and the bridge and the city square and the old market, all of these are part of the old city of Riyadh. The gates are now old neighborhoods. The names of the gates like Dhira, Mamfuha, they became old towns of Riyadh city. If you look at the back, there are also 2 other maps, 2 other sketches of Riyadh that were done by 2 of Riyadh. This talks about the population, how it expanded from just a few thousands in the 1930s all the way to 8 million now, and also growing. So oil was discovered in 1930. Okay. So when they discovered oil in Bahrain in the east, they said definitely Saudi Arabia should have oil, right? So they sent a small group, a small envoy because this moves,
Sensor.
yeah, sensor. And they started looking for oil in the eastern part of Saudi Arabia, starting from 1933 till 1938. They couldn't find any drop of oil. So they received a message from California telling them to pack their stuff and come back to the US because this, I think there is a ghost somehow, somewhere, coming back and forth. So the leader of this team, this archaeologist, was a very stubborn man. His name was Max Steinecke. He told his men to search further and dig deeper, and he was successful in finding oil in 1938. That was the first oil well discovered in the eastern province of Saudi Arabia, in what is now known as the Dammam. And this discovery led to even larger discoveries of oil. It revealed larger discoveries of oil underneath the surface. Based on the same map of 1918, it shows some of the landmarks of the city, masmak, and again the Grand Mosque, number 21. Number 18 is the government palace. Al-Masmak is number 20.
Oh my god.
The water from beneath, using the wheel and the bag. 1865, work on building the fortress started at that year, and it took 4 years to complete the entire establishment of the fortress. And in the beginning, the objective was to make it part of a larger castle. So it was supposed to be a larger castle in the center of Riyadh, another castle, another palace. But they stopped at just building the fortress. So it's actually a military base, different materials that were used, and the tools that were used to build the houses and the buildings at that time. So the main material was mud, clay, adobe, and some of the other, wooden parts and trees that were collectively of the kingdom, which has 3 elements: 2 swords and the palm tree and the green background. The palm tree represents our heritage, our natural resources, and our values. And the 2 swords had 2 meanings. In the beginning of the unification, it resembles the region of Najd, which is central Arabia, and the region of the Hijaz in the west, because these 2 regions were the first regions to be part of the kingdom. So it stood for Hijaz and Najd. After the unification, the meaning changed to sacrifice and just very famous leaders from all around the world, like Roosevelt. This is from 1945. This is the famous meeting between King Abdulaziz and Roosevelt, and Churchill, and the Sheikh of Bahrain, Sheikh Hamad bin Isa, the King Farouk of Egypt, King Abdullah of Jordan, and this is his picture with King Saud, his son, the royal prince that became king after him is his immediate successor. This is during the inauguration of the first railway line that connected Dammam to Riyadh. This is his picture on top of the oil carrier, the American oil carrier in 1939 that shipped the first shipment of oil from Ras Tanura well. And this is his picture, the famous picture. And then this is the King Abdulaziz gallery that shows different pictures of King Abdulaziz from his young age all the way to the last days of his life. This is a famous picture of King Abdulaziz with his sons, some of his sons, not all of them. Okay, and that was taken in 1953. And some of his sons became kings after him, like
This is traditional market, Saudi Arabia. As you can see, it's all collections.
Which YouTube is your channel?
यूनिवर्सिटी होगा ना। हेलो गाइस, जैसे कि आप मेरे पीछे देख रहे हैं, यही एरिया का नाम है चॉप स्क्वायर। अभी से 5 साल पहले यहाँ यहीं पर गर्दन काट दी जाती थी यहीं पर अभी सऊदी गवर्नमेंट के रूल के हिसाब से अभी कुछ नए कानून ला रहे हैं। जैसे कि पहले गुलाब आए हैं, जैसे कि पहले यहाँ पर अब कह रहे हैं कि तलवारबाजों की शॉर्टेज होने की वजह से अब इस रूल को बंद कर दिया गया है। अभी दूसरे रूल को लाने की कोशिश की जा रही है। तो शायद मुझे लगता है आखिरी टाइम 2017 या 18 में लास्ट बार यहाँ पे गर्दन कटी थी। इसके बाद से अभी कोई भी गर्दन नहीं कटी। हेलो गाइस, जैसे कि हम हैं यहाँ पे चॉप स्क्वायर में, कुछ हमारे इंडिया के लोग हैं यहाँ पर जो काम करते हैं। आप इनके बारे में जानना चाहेंगे कि इनको सऊदी अरब कैसा लगता है। तो आप बताएंगे कैसा सऊदी अरब है और क्या सैलरी आपको मिल रही है, आपको संतुष्टि है या नहीं है?
सऊदी अरब तो अच्छा है, संतुष्टि है, लेकिन सैलरी कम है।
अच्छा, मैं आपसे ये पूछना चाह रहा हूँ कि आप एजेंट के थ्रू आए थे या डायरेक्ट आए थे?
एजेंट के थ्रू है।
एजेंट के थ्रू। तो ज़्यादातर प्रॉब्लम्स जो होती हैं वो एजेंट के थ्रू आने से होती हैं, क्योंकि जो आप देखोगे लेवल ऑफ सैलरी बहुत अच्छी है। वैसे देखा जाए तो ऐसा नहीं है कि सऊदी अरब में सैलरी नहीं है, कुछ लेवल पे बहुत अच्छी सैलरी मिल रही है। बट अभी सऊदी अरब के कुछ कानून में बदलाव आ रहे हैं। शायद लगता है कि आने वाले कुछ समय में लोगों को एक नॉर्मल सैलरी जो दी जाएगी वो अच्छी होगी। तो मैं इंशाल्लाह दुआ करूँगा आप लोगों की सैलरी अच्छी हो। आप लोगों से आप जैसे हेलो गाइस, अभी हम आपसे मिलाते हैं अपने पाकिस्तानी दोस्तों से। ये पाकिस्तान से हैं। क्या नाम है आपका? आपका नाम क्या है? मोहम्मद वफ़ा। आपका? जी, आप क्या काम करते हैं यहाँ पर और कितना वक्त हो गया आपको सऊदी अरब में?
ये तो माशाल्लाह 10 साल हो गए।
अच्छा, मुझे आप एक बात बताएंगे, जैसे कहते हैं ये एरिया बहुत मशहूर है, चॉप कर यहाँ पे गर्दनें काटी जाती थी। क्या आपने अपने टाइम में यहाँ देखा ऐसा होता था?
मैंने तो नहीं, जब मुझे तो मेरे ख्याल से 10-15 साल हो गए।
अच्छा,
अभी तक मैंने ऐसे देखा नहीं। माशाल्लाह ये
और आप क्या काम करते हैं?
मैं तो इधर गाड़ी लेन करता हूँ, 10 के काम करता हूँ।
मतलब आपको बहुत अच्छा महसूस होता है यहाँ पर?
बहुत अच्छा।
और आप भाई क्या करते हैं काम? जी,
यही प्लस टू का।
और आप
गाड़ी चलाते हैं।
गाड़ी चलाते हो? अच्छा, मतलब यहाँ पे आप गाड़ी चलाते हो तो कैसा ट्रैफिक वगैरह कैसा है और कोई दिक्कत परेशानी है आप फेस करते हैं? अच्छा। हेलो गाइस, जैसे कि आप ये एरिया देख रहे हैं, ये है चॉप स्क्वायर। यहीं पर पहले यहाँ पर गर्दन काट दी जाती थी। अब यहाँ के कानून में कुछ बदलाव हुआ है। बदलाव के कारण कह रहे हैं तलवारबाजों की कमी की वजह से अब यहाँ पे गर्दन नहीं काटी जाती है। अब इस रूल को बदला गया है। शायद अब यहाँ पे कुछ दूसरा कानून लागू होगा। पहले यहाँ पर शायद 4 या 5 साल पहले सेम रूल था, यहाँ पर गर्दन काट देते थे। जैसे आप ये एरिया देख रहे हैं और जैसे आप ये एरिया देख पा रहे हैं, इसी एरिया में गर्दन काटी जाती थी। और अभी तो यहाँ का माहौल बहुत अच्छा है और बहुत बढ़िया लगा। सऊदी अरब बहुत एक अच्छी कंट्री। मुझे कमेंट करें और लाइक करें, फॉलो करें। आपका भाई अनिल सिंह। अभी आपको ऐसे ही ब्लॉग्स देखने को मिलते रहेंगे।